Hi, welcome to Workbook. In this video, I'm going to go over all the new features and updates in Wurkbuk Beta 3. I'll be comparing it to Wurkbuk Beta 2, which was the last version of Workbook featured in previous videos. There have been updates to nearly all sections of Workbook, but the first update is to the login screen. The background image has been changed, and there have been a few other visual elements added to the login box. After logging into the Workbook home screen, the next change is an increase in the size of the workable area. This is the same for all Workbook sections, so there is more room for creating lesson resources and viewing student work. In the Plan section, there have been three main updates. The first update to this section is to the folder view, which now has a folder delete function. However, before removing it, you have to make sure the folder is empty of other subfolders and lessons. This is to make sure the delete is intentional. Deleting a folder, which is for a subject, removes that whole subject from Workbook. The second update to the Plan section is the ability to delete lessons. This can be done from the lesson view by clicking on the bin delete button. The third update to the Plan section is the addition of the Easy Embed button. This allows you to easily embed code into the resource you are creating. For example, you can embed Prezi presentations, or Scratch apps, or AppLab apps, or any other resource that provides embed code. Once embedded, it can be shared with students in the same way. This will save teachers from going through the code view of the editor. The Teach section has 6 main updates. The first update to this section is to the main controls. The 3 buttons from before, Share, Update, and Delete, have been replaced by just one Set button. Share and Update now have the same functionality. So if you want to make changes to something already shared, just use the same button. The second update to this section is to the Hidden area. The old Hidden area used to hold the Google Share buttons. This has now been replaced with an Advanced Settings area. It still has the old Google Share and Unshare buttons, but also has the Delete button. The next 2 new updates are the Set Date and Due Date options, which are also in the Advanced Settings area. These can be chosen during the sharing process. If these are not set, then the current date and time is used as the set date, and the due date is kept empty. The 5th update to the Teach section is the new Shared Lessons view. This has details of all shared lessons, including the group name, the lesson shared, the set date, and the due date, if one has been chosen. This is filtered by subject. Each detail has a link to a different section of Workbook. The group link goes to student management for that group, which is another new feature that will be discussed later. The lesson link goes to the specific lessons for that group, and the date links go to the new calendar, which is the 6th and final update for the Teach section. The calendar shows all the lessons for all subjects on a monthly view. Each lesson event shows the group name, the lesson name, and the subject as a pop-up when the mouse hovers over. Clicking on the event goes to the lessons for that group. You can traverse through the months and click on the Today link to go to the current date. The calendar shows the set date for the lesson in yellow and the due date for that lesson in red. If you're viewing the calendar on a mobile device, then you'll be shown the same information but on a weekly calendar, which is a better use of the space available. You can traverse the weeks back and forward and click on the same Today button to go to the current week. Clicking on the lessons will show you the same as for the month view. The marking section has one major update, and that is to the feedback module, which is underneath every lesson resource. The old feedback module needed a page refresh when saving marks and feedback, This would waste a lot of time. The new feedback module saves marks and feedback without needing a page refresh, which is much quicker. There is also now a loading or saving notification and a green tick notification when the save is complete. The same update has been added to the delete feedback function with a white tick notification when the delete is complete. The student administration section of Wurkbuk has had two main updates. The first is to the import features, specifically the Google import. This has been changed from import from Google Contacts to import from Google Classroom, but works in the same way. Once you authenticate with your Google login details, you will be shown your Google Classroom classes, and selecting a class will bring up the students for that class, which you can then import as a workbook group. The second update to the admin section is the addition of the student management section. This allows you to create new groups using your existing students and can help you differentiate work for classes by breaking them up into sets on Wurkbuk. Here you can also add, move, or remove students from groups, and you can change student passwords. However, the password change feature has been disabled for the open public version of Wurkbuk. The student management section also gives teachers and instructors the ability to share classes with other teachers or instructors on Wurkbuk. Adding that person's email address in the share group area will allow that person to see work that you have created for those students, allowing them to give feedback or edit the work too, if required. For example, Demo Teacher has decided to share this group with Mr. Answer, who is a French teacher. Before sharing, Mr. Answer only sees French as his subject. However, now he can see all the work that Demo Teacher has set for that group. Assignments for computer science, mathematics, English, and biology. This sharing can be removed too, if needed, meaning that Mr. Answer will no longer be able to see that work. The next two updates were made to the user profile section. The first is the ability to use an alternative name. If you registered for an account with your full name, you can use this feature to have an alternative teacher or instructor name. Removing that name will revert back to your regular registered Wurkbuk name. The second update to the profile settings is the ability to turn on or off all Google features. This is for Wurkbuk users that wish to not use Google features. If this is the case, then toggling Google features off removes them. So in the Plan section, the Google Docs Embed button is hidden. In the Teach section, the Google Docs Share and Unshare buttons are hidden. And also the ability to create copies of Google Docs for each student is disabled. Only the original is shared in this case. And finally, in the Import section, the Google Classroom import option is hidden. As a result, Wurkbuk will not require any authentication of Google services in this mode. There is a final minor but useful feature addition to the resource view for teachers and students. When a user hovers their mouse over the set date on a lesson, the recently modified date and time is shown. And when the same is done to the due date, the time is shown. The student view has two main updates. Students can now see the due date discussed previously, and they have their own calendar view which shows the work set for them in yellow and their due dates in red. Clicking on the links will go to their assignments. That covers all the major updates for Wurkbuk Beta 3. Thanks for watching.